Overall, not the best road trip for the Colorado Avalanche. They lose one in overtime, they lose one in a shootout, and then they just were gassed and lost one straight up to the Los Angeles Kings. But a lot of home games coming up in the month of December. We'll get to all that and then some on a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you are subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. When you do, become one of our very special insiders. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one and get your whatever's on your mind, like the most recent game, anything player-related. You speak it. We bring it up on an episode like we will do a little bit later. All right, Kyle, a lot to get to because we typically don't do shows over the weekend. We had two of them. And then obviously we can even back it up to that Arizona game. But if we want to touch
why would
that,
we?
If we want to. Yeah. But for the Avs, this little 3-game Western road trip ends without a win. You get 2 points because you took the first 2 games into overtime. And then this game against LA was just, it's a tough ask anyway. It's a back-to-back, which obviously are never fun. You don't have Cale Makar. Los Angeles hasn't played since Wednesday, so they are well rested. And it's just, not only is the back-to-back both on the road, that's a road back-to-back, but the Saturday game is a later start, and the Sunday game is a little bit earlier start. So you don't even get a full 24 hours before you're playing again. I'm not making excuses for the Avalanche team. I wasn't really expecting much out of this game where it kind of like was just, I have that emotion of, oh man, like I didn't want that loss, was because they were giving you hope. They were staying in the game, and it took till 6 minutes left in the third when the Kings finally broke through again on Georgiev and then got another one like a minute later on an incredible goal. And there you go. As just, you could tell they just had nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, you mention it as breaking down Georgiev on that goal, but that effort from the defense, it felt like the whole team broke at once. That effort was just depleted. The shifts were long and
Very long.
They were weird, and things were just. It was honestly a product of being gassed, and honestly, like the 3 goals that led that Anaheim game, and then it was just coasting from there, and it felt like this is how it kind of started in the Kings game. It was just kind of a weird coasting. Cale Makar's not there, and like the weird, like he's just not there. He's dealing with something, and it's like the weird verbiage around that, and the weird effort from the team, and then a minute between goals 2 and 3 and the empty netter. It's just too much in and out burger. On that road trip. And you mentioned like the late start on that Saturday game that went to a shootout, so it's super long.
Extra time, right? I don't know, like with this game. I don't know. I'm not the type of guy that's like, oh, Cale Makar's out, so we have no shot. Like no, like this team, they have superstars on this team. He is obviously a massive part of this team, massive, right? So you do lose. Let's get real. You obviously lose stuff when he's out. But is it all doom and gloom and they can't put up a fight? Absolutely not. But when you're doing that, like when you're back to back, and the second game is the tougher game. If this was flipped, if you're facing off against the Kings in your first game, and then you're going up against Anaheim, it's still tough no matter what. But to have the Kings, who are one of the better teams in the league right now, you saw it. You saw like they were well rested, but even removing that, you see the type of game they played. That is a heavy game. That is a grinding game. So you like getting Cale Makar in the mix for that only helps your team. But you could see how the Avs were playing, and it was just let's just play basic hockey.
Yeah.
Let's just let's not get too cute here, and let's just play that style of game where if something opens up, we take an opportunity. We take the opportunities that they give us. And it didn't really seem like they were creating opportunities on their own. It was like, we got to just keep playing this dump and chase game, cycle when we can, get back on D, have good gap control, not lose sight of your man. If they turn the puck over, let's try to make them pay for it.
Yeah.
And that was the best that they could do. You could just tell. And then in the third period, and it was good. You had the lead. And it was just like you saw the difference between first period, second period, third period. The energy just got less and less and less. In the third, they had nothing. I think at one point, LA was out shooting them 15-1 in the third. And it was just, man, you just hope they can hold on. So, it'd be fun to talk about how in all three of these road games, you took them to overtime and then 6 minutes left. Like, Georgiev did everything he could, everything he possibly could.
And honestly, before they even dropped the puck on this season, if you would have said Cale Makar would be out with an injury and they would call up Sam Malinsky to fill in that role, this would have been, oh man, we would have been fine. Sam Malinsky is going to be great. That's a perfect plug and play. There's no excuse for the doom and gloom. Like, Cale Makar is not there. It's an automatic L. There's no, I don't buy it. And honestly, you're talking about this Kings team. This is a different Kings team that opened the season. They have caught fire and they look really, really good. And for the Avalanche to just subscribe to this, and it's a little bit of a carryover from the Anaheim game, just defense scores. Where is the depth? Like, Cale Makar might be out, but where are the goal scorers? Like, step up just a little bit. You can't play reactionary to a superior team. You have to try just a little bit. Even though McKinnon and Rantanen had an assist on that first goal, the Manson goal, you want a little bit more just kind of vibe and flow, and it was severely lacking in that Kings game.
You can't. No team can rely on their defensive players to be carrying the workload as far as goals go, right?
What is this? The Bruins of the 70s?
This is, I mean, pretty much. But and you look at the time on ice for the game against the Ducks was just way out of whack. And we've been talking a lot about that and how they've been doing a very good job of rolling out all four lines, getting all lines being where they should be when it comes to time on ice. And then that game against Anaheim, it was just crazy. It was just the top three guys, almost all three of them touched 30 minutes. So there's another reason. Like, those guys played way, I don't want to say way more than they typically do by 8 minutes maybe of ice time. So now that's another reason why they're just going to be that much more tired against LA.
And nothing about that Arizona game would warrant having to do that going into the Anaheim game, especially not the LA game. Like, nothing about that loss against Arizona was like, I have to rely on this top line and top line only. Keep it going like you were doing. You're finding great success with rolling out the lines evenly.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Josh Manson was logging almost 2 minutes of straight 5-on-5 ice time. That doesn't need to happen.
Mm-mm. I'm looking at the time on ice for this game, and it's kind of back in line where things should be. Let's see, Nichushkin 21:35, McKinnon 21:09, Rantanen 21:54. That's what you want to get out of your top line. That's where they should be. But yeah, it was just for whatever reason in that game prior, it was crazy. The time on ice just, and it's not something that on the defensive end, he does that to Makar and he does that to Taves.
Yeah.
And I don't like that either. But those guys seem to be used to it. I'm not saying that they can't handle that workload, but when you're playing this many games in this short amount of time, that is going to catch up with you. It's going to, and you could see, and you see that it did. I thought they had a little bit of jump in the second after LA scored that tying goal. Then things are going a little bit more for maybe like half of that second period, things jumped up a little bit. And I don't know if it was that coupled with everything else where the third just looked like zombies.
Yeah.
They just looked like they were sleepwalking out there.
In that period, the LA had a good long shift, and I felt like that's where things started to cave, because then the shifts just kept getting longer for the Kings, and they held more control, and the Avalanche just felt like they were on their heels. On skates, but on heels.
All right, let's I want to get into something kind of specific here, sir, with one of our superstars. We'll talk about that, and then I got a couple replies from our subtext crowd as well. So we will discuss that coming up next. Right now, we're going to hear from Sleeper and the Sleeper app. And is there a better app out there, Mr. Sullivan, for daily fantasy sports? Please tell me if there is.
No, not one.
There is not. There is not. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. And Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Our next game is Tuesday. Another matchup with the Ducks. What are you liking for this one for daily fantasy hockey?
Give me Nichushkin.
Okay. I'll give Nichushkin any day. I mean, that's always a good pick.
I feel like he's either going to be contributing or taking the goals himself.
Okay. All right. So all you have to do is pick whether studs like Val Nichushkin will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in any given game. So use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That code is LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right. Right before we get to our subtext people, there's a couple comments in that. I don't know if this was, I don't know how to phrase this, man, because I don't want to let him off the hook because, and just say like, well, we can lump Nathan MacKinnon in with everything that we were just talking about. Clearly tired, but they're professional athletes. They have to go out there and they're not going to use that as an excuse, right? I just don't know if something's going on with Nathan MacKinnon that we don't know, because I know he was sick last week. He didn't like go around for open skate, but he played in that game, and maybe he still has some lingering issues from whatever. God knows when I'm sick, it knocks me out for 3 weeks. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's just that, or if there's some just like lingering injury or something that he's playing through. I just don't feel like he's putting in the effort right now. And I hate saying that about Nathan MacKinnon because he is one of my favorite players of all time. And he's clearly one of the best players in this league. And his stats are fine. He's lost a little bit of the goal touch as of late. But I think we're all confident that that'll come back. And he'll be when the season is all said and done, his numbers will be where they are. But I don't want to look at the end of the season right now. I want to look at right now. And I don't know. I just don't feel like he is hustling. And you saw on one of the goals that the Kings had, he was mad that he didn't get a tripping call. Well, he didn't really go to the ice, so they're really not going to call a tripping call on that. And then he didn't hustle back. And you're seeing that a lot with Nathan MacKinnon right now. I think there's just some frustration bubbling inside of him, and I don't know what it is.
I know exactly what's going on.
Oh, okay. So what's
Nathan MacKinnon?
Is this a new segment? Is this like
yes,
Dr. Sullivan right now?
That's right.
Tell me.
Dr. Victor Von Doom on Locked On Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah.
Okay, Nathan MacKinnon doesn't want to be Gabe Landeskog. And prolific scorer right now on the Colorado Avalanche would be Mikko Rantanen and Cale Makar. Mikko Rantanen was featured on one of those TNT broadcast graphics of just like the upcoming matchup. That's usually Nathan MacKinnon's, like it's in your screen, burnt in, because he's always up there as the hype guy. Like, see Nathan MacKinnon. No, you want to see Mikko Rantanen. You want to see Cale Makar. He's not the goal scorer. He's not the leader. Where is Nathan MacKinnon? Who is Nathan MacKinnon? And what's he doing?
I don't need Nathan MacKinnon to be the leader. I really don't. Like, he is in his own way, like he doesn't lead a team like the way that Gabe Landeskog goes or anybody else on this team. He kind of leads with kind of being demanding. But where he's been like, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him not being like that type. He's still a vocal leader and a vocal part of this team. But
I
don't know, man.
You have Valerian Nichushkin going on goal streaks, and that becomes something. LOC. Everybody's watching LOC every time he touches the puck on a penalty kill. Everybody's finding their groove. And who would have thought in 2023, the highest paid player in the NHL can't find his groove?
Well, at least his goal scoring groove. I mean, he's still up there in points. Like he's still, I don't want to say like he's just having a flop of a season. He's not. But like, so it's twofold for me. It's you look at his stats and they're fine, but that's just his raw talent pushing him to, you know, he's always going to have points. He's playing on the top line. He's always going to be in the mix, but it's just, it's moments like that in this Kings game where you're like, dude, like, argue later. Get like argue after a play stop. Like when the puck is frozen, then go to the ref and be like, "What's up?" Like, and I think maybe he's just getting mad that he doesn't get calls. Like the one time against the Canucks, or no, was it the Slewfoot? No, Seattle, where he that clear as day Slewfoot and nothing's called. And you know, I don't know if that's catching up to him where he just feels like I'm on my own island here and I have to just, you know, I'm not going to get help from anybody. And not that he's looking for that, but a penalty is a penalty. And if it doesn't get called on him, he kind of tends to just live in the moment and get mad at it right then and there rather than hustling back. And then let me deal with the refs later on. And you saw that a lot, at least against the Kings game. I don't know, man. Like I just feel like there's some underlying issue going on with Nathan MacKinnon right now. And again, like I love the guy. So you've seen what he can do over the years. And it's just like, he's kind of like, this is what I do. Like I set up on the left-hand side on the power play and that's where I'm going to go. You just don't see him creating as much anymore. And it's just, I'm trying to find the deep-rooted issues here.
Even at Nathan MacKinnon at 70%, I wouldn't say effort because I'm pretty sure he's giving all that he wants to give. Like not setting up and not creating only works for Ovechkin because he has something that nobody can stop.
Mm-hmm.
What is the thing that separates Nathan MacKinnon right now? It's usually that crazy mad dog edge that he has, but he doesn't have it right now.
Right.
And he's complaining over penalties. But Nathan, my friend, look at your power play stats. Is that something you really want right now? Like you have the advantage 5-on-5. And if you have that edge, the last goal Nathan MacKinnon scored, he's had a point in the last 5 games. Last goal he scored was in that Arizona game. But in that Anaheim game, one would have been nice from you. Get that mad dog edge. Mad that this is embarrassing. We're losing to Arizona. Do something about it.
Yeah.
This Kings game would have been great for you to stop the bleeding in that 1 minute between goals. The edge is missing.
Right. That's what I think. Like it's that we always say like that bull in the china shop mentality that he has. You haven't really seen it. You haven't. And when he just wants to take over a game, you haven't really seen it. So that's why I feel like I don't want to say he's like going through the motions, but he's just going through what has always worked for him rather than just really just saying like, I am taking this game over. And you need that when, especially a guy like Cale Makar is out. So I don't know, like you got a day off and then you're back against Anaheim. You're at home a lot. We'll get to the schedule in a minute, but I just want to see. And even we talk about his post-game interviews like a lot. He doesn't give you a lot because I think he just hates doing them. And then you saw that after the Ducks game, he was just very like ho hum, just like we didn't play good. We played okay, but we didn't play the best. And
there is a Fortnite update. There is a Fortnite update.
So
maybe Nathan MacKinnon
is a Fortnite guy too.
Yeah,
he is a Fortnite guy. So, all right, couple comments over from Subtext. This is Easton. Seems like this was just a scheduled loss. 4 days of rest to none. Talking about the Kings, 4 days of rest to the Avs, none. Georgiev just wasn't able to steal it for us. Cannot go 2 games with 0 goals from forwards. He was watching he said there was still 5 minutes left in the game, but he was falling asleep. Yeah, I mean, once they got that, they got a second one in and then the empty netter. But once they got that one to go up, it was just like there was nothing going on in that third where you felt like the Avs really could pick this thing up and climb back into it.
No. And it has a lot to do with not seeing the edge from not just Nathan McKinnon, anyone in that moment.
Yeah. And then this is James. He goes back to the Ducks game, said Bo with 2 in the first was a welcome sight in the Ducks game. Yeah, we can't slight that.
No, not at all.
We'll talk about that tomorrow, just Bo as a whole tomorrow.
Yeah.
But great to see him get 2, and man, that would have been fantastic if he would able to get the Hattie. So as for the Kings game, I think I could count. I could count the times on one hand that we carried the puck in on the third period. Of course, we aren't going to score if we are nonstop dumping the puck. The thing with that is like LA, their neutral zone defense is fantastic.
Yeah, there were Avalanche players bumping into each other.
It's weird. They really were multiple times. They couldn't carry the puck in because the Kings are very good at preventing that. So you kind of had to play that dump and chase game. And you really had no other option. You had no other option because even if you did carry the puck into the zone, what were the Avs doing with it? They had nowhere to go with it. Nowhere. And that's all because of the Kings and their defensive strategy. It's tough. It's tough to play against them. It's not an easy matchup for the Avs.
Especially when you have Nichushkin who will barrel in and Nathan McKinnon who will speed around and nothing's working. That's frustrating.
Very.
And line after line after line of that, it can wear on a team.
And the Kings did a very good job of making sure the Avalanche, when they did carry the puck in, that it was against the boards.
Yeah.
Like none of the carry-ins where the zone entries were right up the gut, where you had options left and right. Very few were. The one you did, you scored on with Manson. And the other ones, everything's up against the board. And as soon as you get into the zone, they're on you. And you got nowhere to go with the puck.
And you wait for somebody to come and help you get out of the scrum or try and get that puck out of the boards. And as soon as your player bites on that is when you send it the other way opposite and you hold momentum.
And when you're dumping and chasing, you're counting on winning puck battles against the boards. And the Avs, won some, but lost a lot as the game went on. That's tough to play when you're gassed like that. You're not going to win the puck battles as the game goes on. So that's kind of where they were with that. All right, let's look at this December schedule and a lot of home games on this thing, and then we'll get to our sound check as well. So we will do that next. But right now, we are going to hear from Indeed. And when you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, then you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. If you hate waiting, Indeed's US data shows that over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed match their job description the moment that they sponsor a job. And Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. So visit Indeed.com/locked-on to start hiring right now. That's Indeed.com/locked-on, Indeed.com/locked-on. If you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right, let's discuss this December schedule, sir. If you are watching over on YouTube, we are going to bring that up on the screen right there. I think that's as big as I can make it. So good enough. All right, so we scroll down a little bit because there's obviously a couple games that have already passed. But yeah,
Not
you
a
started
win in
off not so
December
good.
yet.
Not yet. But you see that, and I can scroll down a little bit more, and there's one more game down there, New Year's Eve, and that's also at home. So of all these games, you have 4 road games remaining. And you're right now, you have 5 in a row at home. And then you tack on 4 more. So that's 9 home games at home this month. That's nice.
And
That's nice.
honestly, let's just be honest.
Yep.
With or without Cale Makar, with the talent on this team, those 5 games at home, where you're a better team, by the way, are winnable games.
Dude,
Very, very winnable games.
this whole month is winnable.
Yes.
Look what you have. So coming up this week, this is all at home. Anaheim, Winnipeg, that'll be a fun game. Philly, that's the rest of this week. Carried over to next week, and then you have 2 more home games, Calgary and Buffalo, who is massively underperforming so far this year. A lot of people were expecting Buffalo to be that team that takes that next step. So and right now they're not doing it. I'm going to look them up really quick where they are in the standings. I haven't done that in a few days, but
yeah, I think they just hit 500 again.
No, they did not. They are 10, 13, and 2.
Oh,
they've lost 3 in a row. If it wasn't for Ottawa, they'd be dead last. But they're
That's what
just
happens
not.
when you build around Tage Thompson, and it's a 1-year thing.
I mean, and he looked good for that year, but
yeah,
I still think they're trending in the right direction, but this is a step backwards for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, like that, like you look at that, like okay, Winnipeg is doing better than I think some people thought, and they're going to be up for that game because they're on your tail. So that's okay. Well, that's a good. You play them again this month or just that one? Yeah, you do.
You go home and then away,
the following week, and then you have San Jose at home, Chicago on the road, Ottawa at home, and then here's your Christmas. So you have Arizona at home before Christmas, and then your first game after Christmas is in Arizona, and then you're in St. Louis, and then you're at home against San Jose. And I missed another San Jose earlier. That's a pretty easy December schedule, Kyle. That's pretty easy. And I don't mean that as a slight to those teams, but for the Avalanche, this is a month where you can sock away some points. So you better do it.
Yeah, and especially if I was the one Nathan McKinnon that we spent the second segment talking about, I would be on that plane heading back to Colorado, looking at my team saying, guys, that was embarrassing. We could do better. We're going to rest up. And then you're going to win the month. Like this, it's a win the. I don't want to make excuses and have to do a show just like this where we have to explain losses to Anaheim, LA, and Arizona. These games, there shouldn't be mass confusion when it comes to these opponents. You know these opponents. This is nothing that they're rebuilding or, wow, this is a hot team. No, the Avalanche should be able to take out every game in December.
I mean, hey, they did it. Didn't they do it in January a couple years ago? Or I think they lost 1 game in January, like 2 years ago.
That was the overtime loss. Too many men on the ice.
I mean, so Winnipeg has a above 500 record. I think Philadelphia does right now, believe it or not. Let me see. No, yeah, they do. They're 2 games over. So they do, but I think people are expecting them to come back down to earth at some point in time. Pretty close here, right?
On the road would be the place to do it.
Yeah. So you have Winnipeg, Arizona. Arizona, they're improved, but I still, that's a team that the Avalanche really should be able to still handle. They're not on the level of the Avalanche right now.
No,
you're playing
at
them
this
twice.
point, you should have a 9-game winning streak heading into that Arizona game, and then you take care of business, get 10 in a row, and keep on rolling.
Yeah. I mean, when you have San Jose on there twice, right?
Both at home.
Okay. Yeah. Anaheim, even though they just beat you, I liked the way they played in that game. Just Gibson was some robbed goals there that he played a great game. You have Ottawa, who is right at the bottom of the standings again. They're another team that a lot of people are expecting to take a step up, and they're not. Winnable games here in December. So when the calendar changes to a new year, if I'm not talking about how the Avalanche are, I don't want to say comfortably at top of the division, because Dallas is a good team and they're going to be right there with them. But if they are not at the top of the division, I'm not hitting the panic button, because they're going to win. They should win several of these games and still be in a good spot playoff wise. But if you want to start separating yourself from, it might be tough to separate yourself from Dallas, but if you want to start separating yourself from the rest of the division by getting a lot of points, this is the month to do it. A lot of home games against a lot of mediocre and sub-mediocre teams. Go out and just start stockpiling points right now.
The runway is short on excuses in this month.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. Because now we're in December. This is month 3. Month 3. So no more getting to know you phase. Like, that's all gone.
Yep.
So and injuries, knock on wood, have been pretty good. We'll see how long Cale Makar is out, but overall, a very, very winnable month here for the Avs. All right, last bit of business to do today, and that is our sound check. So Kyle and I each pick a song that we feel best describes the most recent game. Throw these up on a playlist over on Spotify. Just search LOA sound check. This is volume number 3. So what do you got for this game? Or if you want to do the weekend, I don't know what you have, because we didn't do one for the Ducks game either.
Oh, how many sad songs can I think of? No, I picked one for this, just the attitude that I really got in the second and the third period. I mean, it has nothing to do with my Easy-E shirt that I have on.
Nice.
We're going with my tried and true. Grateful Dead on this one. The Dire Wolf.
Okay.
The 600 pounds of sin. I say, just come on in. Like the Avalanche, they went from this, like, I love the ebbs and flows of the season where it's, what are the Avalanche doing? They got shut out. They lost to the Blues 8-2. Then they start putting everything together and they look like a great team again. And then the second and third period of that Kings game, they turtled. They were just ready to get out of there. They were weak. There was no fire. Anybody could beat that Avalanche team. But that's just not what you want to see. And it's just such a weird change. So Dire Wolf, Grateful Dead, like, please don't murder me. This team will roll over, and that's not what you want to see going into a winnable month.
Well, I was like kind of going a little bit off of that, and I just kind of feel like we talked about it so many times in this episode. The Avs just they were a gassed team, and you saw it. So that is why I'm going with Stone Sour. Pretty easy. The name of the song is Tired. It's exactly what they were. That's exactly what they were.
Yeah. Oh, we need to do. We didn't start the fire. Nobody started the fire on this team.
Nobody did. Yeah. Someone needs to light the fire.
And that's honestly going into the rest of this month. That's who's going to be that guy.
Yeah.
That's who you're going to be looking for. Who's going to be that guy to say, this is embarrassing, guys? Come on. And who's going to light the fire into this team? That's what you're going to be looking for.
We need forwards to start scoring goals again.
Yep.
I even think Mikko Rantanen, what's he gone 5 or 6 games without a goal now?
Yeah.
So the McKinnon bug has bit him. So you don't want both those guys struggling to find the net. So
we haven't even mentioned the third line that everybody loves to talk about. Didn't even mention them this entire episode.
And they were good. I thought they were the best line in the game. Best line in the game. So we'll get to that stuff tomorrow. Like I said, we'll talk about the Bo Byram stuff as well. And get you ready for the rematch against Anaheim. That will come up tomorrow. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. And it's a weekend. It's over. Back home. Some good home cooking is made with the Avalanche need. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, and I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.